commercialisation in Australia.
Order. The question is that the motion be agreed to, and I call the member for Goldstein.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And Deputy Speaker, it's always a privilege to follow the member for Cowan because it's always the opportunity to hear directly from the talking points of the Labor Party and their latest grievance. But of course, as we know with this motion that's been moved, that it's all talk and no actual substance from the opposition in comparison to the practical action this government is delivering. And I agree, Deputy Speaker, with the spirit. We do talk about commercialisation a lot. We do talk about innovation a lot, because the focus of this government is how do we build the Australian economy of the future. And when it comes to not just innovation, but making sure that innovation is utilised in a practical way to deliver outcomes for people, you do need things like development. You do need things like commercialisation to take it through the full life cycle to make sure that we create products and innovations and services that improve the lives not just of Australians, but people all around the world. That's something we should be proud of, because when I'm afraid I'm going to have to go back to basic economics, but when you create goods and services that are innovative and in demand that improve people's lives, you actually improve people's economic, social and human welfare. So we're very proud of that, and that's the focus of this government. How do we do it to make people's lives better, and how do we make sure the future is going to be awesome? And so there are practical measures we take at every step, and including this budget, of course, significant investment in scientific research and development. In fact, there was $475 million to drive industry growth and scientific development. But the practical reality, Deputy Speaker, is we as a government don't focus solely on what the government can do to drive innovation, because, politely, Deputy Speaker, as you may know, I'm not a particularly big believer that government is the answer to all of our societal or economic woes. But actually, it's how do we mobilise private capital to invest in the future of building and the sustainable development of this country and develop research and development. And we have a very proud record in that space. And that's why we focus so much on what is it we need to do to drive innovation, mobilise private capital to be able to invest in new products and new innovations. And that was what the focus of the patent box announced in this budget did. In fact, it's a trial mechanism which, of course, the member for Cowan has outlined is limited to what we need to do in the medical research space. But let's face it, what it could do is provide an innovative regulatory framework and tax framework which might then be able to be replicated elsewhere. And you know why, Deputy Speaker? It's because we're cutting taxes for those companies. And if we cut taxes for companies, you get more innovation, more capital, more commercialisation and more outcomes. Now, we know for the members of the opposition, they oppose tax cuts to drive growth, whereas this government is very proud of the fact that if you want to have patents based in Australia, if you want innovation and research in Australia, we'll cut your taxes so we can grow jobs, so we can employ scientists, so we can employ people who develop products and, of course, commercialise them to get them to market. Because a simple understanding of the life cycle of what drives behaviour and economic behaviour and job creation that's at the heart of the government's budget to deliver improvement. So we're immensely proud of it, Deputy Speaker. We talk about it all the time. We're so proud of our patent box, and we hope that we can cut taxes. Well, I certainly do as a member for Goldstein. I hope we can cut more taxes for more businesses into the future, and I make no apology about that. And it's good to finally hear the member for Cowan arguing for massive tax cuts for companies that want to invest in the future of this country, because the basis of her complaint, Deputy Speaker, is that it isn't broad enough. Well, you know what? I kind of agree with that. I'd like to see it go bigger and broader to create an environment that fosters jobs and growth. And of course, we also have huge numbers of huge support for other agencies within the government, like the CSIRO, Cooperative Research Centres, R&D tax incentives across the board, because we know that innovation doesn't come from monopoly government. We know it doesn't come from saying one institution harbours all the wealth and knowledge of the country to drive innovation. We understand that it's through the decentralised model of making sure that we can have 1,000 different innovative projects go, because some will succeed, some will fail. But the more you create and foster an environment for growth, the more likely you are to have an innovative future Australia.
Order.